Is humanity headed for extinction? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. Are we the people doomed to share the fate of the dodo bird and dinosaurs? What may ultimately do us in is not a meteor, a nuclear holocaust, or a super pandemic, and be relieved the end won't be coming anytime soon. Nonetheless, we may actually become the first species on Earth to extinguish ourselves. All around the world, birth rates are falling and have been doing so for decades. Poor nations, developing nations, and rich nations are experiencing this phenomenon. What demographers call total fertility rate is the average number of births per woman. To keep a population stable, they say, the so-called replacement rate is 2.1 babies per woman. Anything above means the population expands, as it has done for all of our history, despite occasional catastrophic interruptions, such as the bubonic plague in the mid-1300s. If the replacement rate goes below 2.1, the population will eventually contract, and that's where we're headed now. In fact, we may have already crossed that line. The number of people worldwide today is over 8.5 billion and is still growing. But the UN now estimates the population will peak by 2080 at 10.3 billion and then start to decline. The shrinkage may start sooner, as demographers in recent years have had to repeatedly revise their estimates downward. The birth dearth is most pronounced in advanced economies, where the replacement rate is about 1.5. In South Korea, it's down to 0.7. The number of babies born in Japan last year fell to a record low. 2 people died there for every baby born. Italy could disappear early in the next century. The U.S. long defined this trend, but not anymore. We're at a record low for us of 1.6. Among the richer nations, only Israel is experiencing a robust number of births. Governments are noticing the fall in birth rates and are alarmed. Until recently, the conventional worry was that there are too many people. In 1798, when there are barely a billion people on the planet, Reverend Thomas Malthus wrote a book that became a sensation. It warned that population growth always ends up outpacing the food supply, and therefore humanity could never experience a lasting rise in the standard of living. The population has grown 8-fold since Malthus's track, and so have general living standards. A little over 2 centuries ago, 90% of humanity lived in dire poverty, which is defined as $2.10 a day in today's money. Now the dire poverty level is under 10%. In 1800, almost half of the children born never made it beyond their 5th birthday. Today, globally, 96 children out of 100 live past the age of 5. Nonetheless, the Malthusian nightmare mentality predominated. In 1968, a Stanford professor wrote a huge bestseller predicting that a horrific global famine would soon be upon us. Government efforts to increase birth rates by tax incentives, direct payments, and advertising campaigns have largely failed. Why this slow-motion baby bust? Experts cite the costs in time and living expenses as inhibitors. Some posit that another factor may be at work, which is a spiritual crisis, that is, pessimism about the future. Whatever the reasons, it looks like that for the first time ever, the number of us inhabiting the planet will be going down. I'm Steve Forbes. This is What's Ahead. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments, and I look forward to being with you soon again.